How many times have you done Vipassana?
8 times.
And did Vipassana hurt?
A lot. Yes.
3 words to describe your 10-day Vipassana course experience.
Okay. First one is amazing. The second one is helpful. And the third one is beautiful.
You're not distracted by anything, so you get to see how crazy you are. What advice would you give someone who is coming to their first 10-day Vipassana course?
Be healthy. Don't come to Vipassana if you feel bad. You will have a lot of moments when you will feel that you want to go, but you have to like overcome that feeling and stay, and everything will be paid off at the end.
I think I'm crazy. You have to be psycho to go back 8 times. In a good way. In a good way.
In what way?
It was a deconstruction of everything that was not real and everything that was keeping me in a state of misery.
I understood how it's important to be healthy in your physical body first of all, and do work with your mental health. So
We're all fucking insane. We're wildly insane. The human mind is crazy. The thoughts are coming and they're going and none of them make sense. None of them go together. If you actually listen to your thoughts, you are in deep trouble. If you don't learn to allow your thoughts to just flow and to decipher which ones are important and worth paying attention to and which ones are not.
So I just got here. I'm in my room. I've done registration already, and we have about an hour and 30 minutes before we actually will start the actual course or the actual practice of Vipassana. And right now I can just kind of lounge around the place and see what's around me. So they gave us this bag, and in an hour and 30, all of my belongings will go here. My phone, if I brought any books, which I didn't, any documents, any money, just so it's safe. I'm about to just walk around a bit, get acclimated to my surroundings. Everyone seems super nice and super sweet already, and we are still allowed to talk and just get acclimated right now. So
one of the things people don't know about monks is that monks cannot handle money, and they give up all worldly pleasures to live a life of service, simplicity, and selflessness. They can't buy or sell anything, even food. For these reasons, Vipassana is completely free. The main reasons for this are to release you of ego and create space for humbleness. The facility, food, and practice don't ask you of anything but a donation, and only if you feel like you have gained something after the practice. No amount is too big or too small, as the idea is that you are donating to allow someone else the same service that you receive, as someone before you has donated for you to practice comfortably. Even if you cannot donate at all in money, it is highly recommended that you volunteer as a service staff later. The place is not a 5-star resort. In fact, the 9th precept is that monks refrain from lying in high or luxurious sleeping places, again, to control the ego. You spend your 10 days in a monk-like environment.
gotta turn everything in, so it is day 11, about 6:40 in the morning, and we are leaving today. It is officially the last day of Vipassana, and yesterday we broke silence, so we've been talking up a storm, but now officially we got our phones back and we've cleaned our rooms, and it's time to go.
What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode video from Stop Waiting for Friday with Akia, me. And if you follow me on Instagram, TikTok, any of my social handles, or you watch my previous YouTube video, I set off on a journey to go do Vipassana. And I kind of explain a bit what Vipassana is, but it's 10 days of silence, or it's a ancient Indian technique where you kind of like go to the extreme of really of solitude and complete silence with no form of technology. So I didn't have a book, music, phone, computer. I couldn't write anything. It was really just learning the technique. There was a group of about 40 people there, 20 men, 20 women. That's not including the staff that was there to help us and assist us in the management that was there at the facility. and men and women were separated the entirety of the course. And yeah, it was an experience, guys. So I definitely wanted to come here and catch you guys up on what I learned from that experience, just how the day-to-day schedule was and all of that good stuff. So we'll start off with just the facility in itself. I arrived on like April 20th, and on April 20th, the courses hadn't really started. So when you arrive, you kind of just like checking in, you go to your room, and you see like the facility where the bathrooms are and all of that good stuff. At this point, everyone is able to talk still, and you do still have your phone for a bit. You get your own room, and it's not dormitory style or anything. It's a very small room with a small bed. And one of the things about Vipassana is that you don't want you to sleep in a luxury bed. If you think about it, in a lot of ways, it's kind of like life of a monk, kind of, and that's the whole reason why Vipassana is even free. So you stay at this facility for free, you eat for free. A monk can't buy their own food. Monks are pretty much beggars, and that's because it takes away the ego, and they have to go from household to household and ask for food. And this is kind of implemented in Vipassana because it's off of the basis that other people have given. And that's why they don't even ask for money for the entirety of the 10 days. They do encourage you to donate because the people before you that came have donated for you to be able to be there and for them to be able to provide the food. But there's no number or anything. I know people who donated from very small amounts to very big amounts, and it was just based on what they had. So the practice that's already such a special part about the practice that I absolutely love. And I didn't realize it until later on that was the reason why they don't ask you for a certain amount of money. Because you think about it, if you go stay at a hotel or something for 10 days, you will rack up a pretty hefty bill with food included and all of that good stuff. That was really special to me, and I really appreciated that aspect of it, and especially learning where it derived from. So also to that point, that's why the bed is in luxury, because monks are not allowed to sleep in luxury beds to lessen the ego and force them to not live in this ego state, which we all could learn a lesson from. So the facility was sort of like that. We did have a shared bathroom, but I found it to be very comfortable, especially going into it knowing that you're not going on a luxury vacation or something like that. You're going to really learn a technique and do some mental work, do some meditation and breath work. And it's more, the whole point of it is a lot more than just a nice place to stay. So I can't say that it was some luxury place, but it definitely was comfortable, and I'm so grateful for the people that came before me and donated for me to be able to have that experience. To be honest, it did sort of look like a prison, and like a lot of us joke after the fact that it was like a prison for the mind, because the way it's set up, there's just nothing to do there. I mean, you have this very small walkway, and these vary across the world. This is the one in Bali, which is fairly new, but there's this walkway where you can walk a bit, and it's very small considering the fact that there are 20 of us there. And you have the Dhamma hall, which is the meditation hall where you go to practice meditation, which we'll talk a lot about in a bit. And then there's the kitchen, and then the bathrooms and the rooms, and that's just pretty much all to it. There is nothing special because the point is that you aren't distracted. So the most fun that you have there is just walking around the little garden area for your hour break. So you have like two breaks throughout the day, and you can kind of just lounge around there. They have some seats around, and a lot of us just really spend our time sitting, staring in nature. There was like a spider there that had everyone's attention because it was like the coolest thing happening, and you watch this spider like do crazy shit for days on end. Like every day this spider was doing something this spider was doing something just miraculous. I mean, I've seen a spider go from one tree to the next, like through the web out from, like, it was just crazy. So yeah, that was like the entertainment that was there pretty much. But 100 hours of meditation. This is the daily schedule, and yeah, basically you wake up at 4 a.m. And 4 a.m. the bell goes off. You have some time to get ready between 4 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. And at 4:30 a.m. you need to meditate. You can meditate in your room, or you can meditate in the hall, in the meditation hall, and that's for about 2 hours. And then from 6 a.m. until 8 a.m. you have breakfast and like rest. So everyone pretty much goes for breakfast, and then we all after that kind of sit in this like garden area. And then after that, from 8 until 9 you have group meditation. And after group meditation, from 9 to 11 you have another meditation where you can go to your room and meditate, or you can meditate in the hall. And then from 11 to 12 you have lunch. And then from 12 to 1 you have another rest, and or you can have interviews with the assistant teachers for about an hour if you have any questions about your practice. 1 to 2:30 you have you can meditate in your room, you can meditate in the hall. From 2:30 until 3:30 you have group meditation again. At 3 to 5 you have your own meditation in room, or you can meditate in the hall. 5 you have a tea break, and then 6 to 7 you have another group meditation, and then 7 until about 8:15 you have discourse, which is where you speak with well, you don't speak with, oh my goodness, I wish we speak with, but you kind of hear from 𝐸𝐤, who was the main teacher. Buddha rediscovered Vipassana. It was practiced in India long before even Buddha, and then Buddha had rediscovered it, appointed a few people to go spread it out throughout some other places, and there were some people that were teaching it in Burma, which is where 𝐸𝐤 is from, and he ended up finding this. He was a businessman actually, and he was going through some health issues which were causing really bad headaches for him. He was paying top doctors and everyone to kind of resolve this issue for him. Couldn't really find anyone. Someone suggested that he try Vipassana. He tried it, and he saw the healing powers in it. He saw the miracle in it. And I don't like to call it miracle, because miracle insinuates actually that there is some like magic happening, but it's really not magic at all. It's really the work of oneself, which is why I think it's something that every single person should do if they get the chance. Yeah, he discovered this and he started teaching it, and he is basically the teacher that when you go to this course you'll be watching recordings from him. And even though it's from like 1991 when he did these recordings and when he did this course, even though he'd been practicing it for 14 years, it's so relevant. Everything he says. You have discourse, and he kind of walks you through what you learned throughout the day, what you should have learned, what you should have been practicing, and really make sure that you understand the technique. And he has this wit about him. Like, he really is a funny guy. If you do have any chance, I highly recommend to watch any one of 𝐸𝐤's videos on YouTube, because his vibe is, he just has a vibe about him that is so, you know, he's not like one of these people that have lost character or trying to force you into something or whatever. It's just, he's so witty and he's spicy. And I really appreciated that. Discourse was like my favorite. After discourse, you go do group meditation once more from 8 until 9. And then from 9 to 10, between 9 and 10, you kind of get ready for bed and lights out at 10. So that's pretty much what the schedule is like every day for 10 days. Nothing changes. It's really straight to the point, and you do the exact same thing for all 10 days. So what is Vipassana? Like, what is the point? What do you learn? Why does one go to Vipassana? Why does, what does one gain from this kind of experience? My takeaway from Vipassana was that we all have 5 senses, right? We have our 5 senses: touch, taste, smell, feel, hear. And these senses, like, they're working every day. While you're out doing things, it's inevitable. It's the human, it's human nature. It happens inevitably. And once you come in like your senses come in contact with something, you get a sensation. You don't necessarily feel it, because mostly we're distracted, and it's really hard to feel these sensations in our daily lives when we are consumed by doing things all the time. But we get a sensation. Your body, somewhere on the body, it creates a feeling once you come in, your senses come in contact with something from the outside. This can be pain. This can be like a really good feeling, like you taste ice cream. Oh, so good, like you absolutely love it, and then you just grow this love for, you know, for this sweet treat, and you want it all the time, and then you start to crave it, and then you just absolutely have to have ice cream. Or the same with alcohol. You have alcohol and then you have this really good feeling. You have the sensation that you get from this taste and this feeling, and yeah, you keep doing it. You either grow this craving for it, or on the other hand, there's something that causes you pain that you absolutely don't want to feel. You don't like it, so you hate it. And what happens with this, what 𝐥𝐤𝐤 calls cravings or aversion, they call 𝐸𝐻𝐻𝑒𝑛𝑘𝑎𝑟𝑎s, and you start to have these build up over years through life. You have all of these things that you crave and you're attached to, and then you also have, on the other hand, these things that you absolutely hate. And at surface level, we understand this, right? We know that we shouldn't have attachment towards things, or that we shouldn't, you know, allow hate into our space, because nothing good comes from it. At an intellectual level, we know this. We read books that tell us this. We watch people who tell us this. We listen to podcasts. We see, you know, we see all of these quotes circulating online about this. But Vipassana allows you to understand this at an experimental level. You actually are able to physically feel the sensations of craving and aversion, because your body is going through this entire physical process of having to sit in one meditation pose for an hour plus on end, and you experience how uncomfortable that can be. Sometimes it feels, you have moments where it feels good, where you're not in pain, but then you realize that this moment won't last forever, and that the pain will come. And when you're in pain, you realize the pain won't last forever, and then your body will get into this space of comfortability. And you're taught the law of impermanence, that nothing lasts forever. It's nature, you know, nothing. We know this though, right? We say it all the time, but you actually physically get to experience that nothing lasts forever. And this law of impermanence, we experience ourselves. And that is the cool part about Vipassana, is that it's not religion, and it's not anything outside of yourself. You get to understand this through yourself and through your body, through your breath, in the present moment. Every experience is different. Everybody experiences something different in Vipassana, and I'll talk a little bit about that later. But on day 8, I had this feeling, this vibration everywhere. And in Vipassana, they teach you not to change your breath. Don't try to change your breath. Leave it as it is. That's what Vipassana means. Seeing things as they really are. And this is why they ask you, don't practice anything else, any other breath work techniques, any other meditation techniques or yoga techniques that you've learned. Because the idea is that Vipassana wants you to experience things as they are happening. It doesn't want you to do breath work and change the tempo of your breath, or change the style of your breath, or hold your breath. It doesn't want you to do any yoga chanting or anything. It wants you to experience the room of your own body, what's happening with you in that present moment. And that's what makes it the coolest, because you're not doing anything to manipulate the body. So you get this, eventually you get so in tune after practicing for a few days with the sensations that are happening on your body, whether you experience heat in a particular place, or you experience something crawling on you. There's like a little bug around the camera now, but you experience something crawling on you, or you experience tension. And it even asks you not to call it these things. It just asks for you to feel the sensations, and that's it. Feel them, stay in the same spot, keep your hands, keep your legs, and keep your hands and your legs in one position for the hour plus. Close your eyes, keep your eyes closed, and just stay there. And you start to understand that when you're experiencing the pain, you realize that it doesn't last for forever. Even when you pay attention to the pain, you realize, like, because at surface level, like when your back hurts, your back just hurts. It hurts, like my back is aching. But when you actually sit still and just allow for that pain to be there, and when you pay attention to it, you realize that it comes and it goes. And sometimes it's subtle, and sometimes it's really intense. And you start to just understand, like I said, the law of impermanence. But again, it happens very different for every single person. And for me, let me tell you guys how I kind of got my aha moment with Vipassana on day 8. from the moment I got to the facility, when I was taken to my room, everyone's unpacking. It's like day 0, we call it. It's the day where you're just kind of settling in. That first day, I saw a massive spider in my room, like massive, the size of my hand. And I went and got the manager, and I was just like, I can't stay in this room. Like, is there another room? Because there's a spider in here, and I'm terrified of spiders. And obviously, we're in Bali. It's out in nature somewhere, so it's to be expected. But the rooms are so small, so when anything enters this room, it's kind of like in your space. You know, like I've lived in like homes where there's like a spider somewhere in the wall, and it's kind of like, you don't have to see me, I don't have to see you. Like, you do your thing, I do my thing. But the rooms are so small that you kind of just have to, you're just there with the spider. So anyway, I went and got her. I was like, I can't do this. And from that moment on, I was absolutely terrified. That night alone, I had seen 4 spiders entering my room, and I don't know what it was. Maybe they lived there before and it was their home, and then I got there and was like, hey, I'm home, and they're like, no, you're not. And I was so terrified by it, and it was just from that moment on, it was stuck in my head. My entire experience was like all about spiders, because I was just tiptoeing around the entire place, because they like pierced me. Like, it just was like almost, they had me in a chokehold. Like, the spiders had me in a chokehold. Every time I meditate, every time I went to the bathroom, and then like there was one morning I went to take a shower, and there was a spider, like the same kind of spider in the shower, and then there was a girl there, and she saw me like struggling to try to get this spider out. And of course you don't want to kill it, like you're in Vipassana, and then one of the 5 𝐿𝐴𝐿𝐵s is, I like, do not kill any other being. So I'm like, oh shit, I can't even kill the spider. You know, and I wanted to really stay true to that. So yeah, and it was really difficult. So this girl laughs at me, and she helps me get the spider out, because obviously we can't really talk. And fast forward a few days later, in the meditation hall, there were 2 spiders under my mat. One that I personally saw, someone helped me get it out, one of the managers. And then the second time when I went, the same girl who was in the bathroom when I'd had that awkward experience with the spider in the bathtub, I saw her with the cup. So she'd been in the meditation hall before me. I saw her with the cup with the spider in it, and she looked at me, and I looked at her, and she was like, she whispered to me, she said, guess where the spider was? And I'm like, where? And she's like, it was under your mat. It knows your fear. And in this moment, it went, aha, you know, because in one of the discourses, 𝐥𝐢𝐤𝐻 is saying how we create our own misery, and really I was creating my own misery for 8 days, guys. Like, I was just honestly uncomfortable. I couldn't really sleep. Every time I went to the bathroom, I was tiptoeing. Every time I went into my room, like, I would push the door open, step back, and just like do a scan. I was just so, it was actually a little bit psychotic. Like, I tucked my net in my room so good in there, so just in case the spider got in my room, it wouldn't get into my bed. And I was having, like, every time I would close my eyes to meditate, I was like seeing flashes of spiders, and I was just really paranoid. And up until that moment, I didn't realize what I was doing. Even like, you're going through this entire experience about creating your own misery and fear and cravings, and then yeah, that's how it really clicked for me. And I kid you not, from the moment that I just allowed for that like thought to pass, like to just really clear space out, like, and let it go through, like, because I still was having these like flashes, but I was like, no, I won't entertain this, I won't. And the moment I start doing that, I didn't see a spider, I didn't see one. And I was like, you know, and that's the thing that I absolutely love about Vipassana, is that it's no, and that's why I said earlier, it's no miracle. Really, it's no miracle. It's the things that are happening around us every day that we don't even notice. And then you think, for so many years I have this thing where I'm like, I hate spiders, I hate them, and then they just show up in that way for me. So I definitely learned my lesson through spiders. On day 10, you can start talking to other people, and that's when, you know, everyone starts to kind of converse and talk about what their experience was and what they learned, or, you know, the most challenging part for them. And that day is a special day, you know, because not only are we getting kind of acclimated back into preparing to go back into the real world, or go back into like the world with all of the distractions as we know it, but also, you know, you're with these people, you're surrounded by these people for 10 days. You can't talk to each other. All you guys are doing is just like picking up on each other's energy and each other's vibe, really. And to hear everyone's experience be so different, or the way they learned their lesson be so different, or how they found the technique to be for them was really, really interesting, because you have some people that, you know, the mental part was the hardest part for them. Like, they've been dealing with mental stuff, and that part was the most to deal with. And then you have some people where physically it just felt unbearable, and, you know, they went through like big moments physically. And you have some people who didn't even follow the practice at all. They were like, look, I couldn't do it. I had to get myself through it, I had to do something completely different, which they don't recommend at all. But it's just interesting to hear everyone's experience be so unique and so different. It was a very, very, I would say even life-changing. I would use the words life-changing, which I know sounds cliche, but life-changing in the way that, like, after Vipassana, I really felt light. After Vipassana, once we got our phones back, the first message that I saw on my phone was that my father had been shot in the face. And although that information was incorrect, he hadn't been shot in the face. He had been shot 6 times, 4 times in the chest and 2 times in the back. And although I don't have the closest relationship with my father, about a year ago, he and I had a heart-to-heart. And we kind of hashed out some deep-rooted stuff on both, for both of us, on both ends. And to come out of Vipassana and that was literally the first, set of information that I received. Like, it was heavy. You know, it was the first message that I read, and immediately I get on the phone with my family, and I'm trying to figure out what happened, what's going on. And I hear that my father is in critical condition. No one knows what exactly happened. No one knows if he'll make it. They just given him 30 liters of blood. The doctors didn't know where the blood went. They won't be able to keep giving blood, and it was just hectic. It was a lot. And honestly, I still kept this peace in whatever weird way. No one ever wants to hear that someone that they love has experienced that or had to go through that. Yeah, so that was pretty tough, but I still felt peace and light. I didn't want to react in a chaotic way immediately. I wanted to, like, breathe. Even I had to tell my family members, like, I've gotten enough information right now. This is enough information that I've gotten. Like, let me just sit with this for a minute. And my father is still alive right now, and it's been about 5 days since this incident happened, and he's still fighting. And for that alone, super grateful. It was almost like it was preparing me for whatever path it is that I'm supposed to be going on. Because while I was meditating on day 9, I had this gut-wrenching feeling that something happened to my brother, really gut-wrenching. And I thought, it's just a thought, because in Vipassana you realize that we're all fucking insane. We're wildly insane. The human mind is crazy, and we are insane. You don't hold on to a thought for too long. Like, the thoughts are coming and they're going, and none of them make sense. None of them go together. They're just coming and going. And if you actually listen to your thoughts, you are in deep trouble. You are in deep trouble if you don't learn to allow your thoughts to just flow and go, and be able to decipher which ones are important and worth paying attention to and which ones are not. And you really get to see that because you're not distracted by anything, so you get to see how crazy you are. And I realized just how crazy the mind is. So I thought that this was just one of those things happening, this feeling that I had about my brother. And then it left, and then it came back later on in the day during meditation, and I was like enough, enough with this. And it wasn't, lo and behold, I find out day 11, it wasn't my brother, it was my father. And ironically, my mom has 3 children. My brother and I have the same dad. My sister has a different dad. And that's probably why I had this feeling about my father, while it wasn't. My brother is a person that connects us both. So, I mean, I'm not really, I'm not super spiritual in that way, and I'm not, I don't know if that's what it was, but that's what it felt like for me. That's kind of how I interpreted that. And yeah, but I still was able to manage to just find peace and space to just think logically and to really manage my feelings in a in a balanced way. I feel like while it is a lot different on the outside world, it's super hard because you're in this kind of curated space where you don't have access to all of the things that distract you, and then when you get out, you're kind of thrown back into all of the things that distract you. But one of the things I really learned is that I just want to be more intentional in my life and the way I react to people, the way I connect with people, the way I even use technology, the way I communicate via text message, FaceTime, whatever. I just want to be more intentional in my life, and I want to be especially more intentional with how I react to things, and understanding that everything doesn't require a reaction. Everything doesn't require me to get worked up, and I really hope to keep this equilibrium. And I do understand that it won't happen all the time. We're human, and I do know that there'll be some times where I want to continue to work on creating this space for myself to be able to think rationally and not divert to having a craving towards something and getting caught up in a good feeling or a good time, and also not getting caught up in a bad time. There are so many people I can think of that I would recommend to go to Vipassana. Actually, you know, you have this moment while you're there, like these few moments where you're like, oh my gosh, my mom should go. Oh, my friend, yeah, she should go. And yeah, I should tell her about it too. You like have this moment where you want to share it with other people. You want other people to experience it. And I wholeheartedly think that every single person in this world should do it at least once, even if you don't continue with the technique. But I think everyone should experience it. But I do think there are some steps that you should take for yourself before you throw yourself into Vipassana. And I think one of those things is you should really have already a certain level of mental clarity. I don't think you should go into Vipassana at your lowest low. I definitely think you should not go when you are feeling depressed, because it really is a stripping of a lot of things that we use to distract ourselves, like I've said multiple times. So if you don't feel good about going into it, it's really easy to leave it. And it does take, while you're there, there'll be a few times where you're like, okay, this is crazy, I'm leaving. I think collectively everyone that I've spoken to has had this moment of like fighting the idea of leaving Vipassana early and not wanting to complete it. So I really think that there's just like if there's some meditation classes in general that you can take before going in, and it's still, those meditation classes will be very different than Vipassana, but just to prepare yourself for stillness, and if that means like a social media break prior to, or you know, a social break prior to, I think these are some things that you can incorporate in your life before signing up for Vipassana. 3 words that I can use to describe my experience at Vipassana are impermanence, that nothing lasts forever, that the good doesn't last forever, and the bad doesn't last forever, which allows us to have joy, because you couldn't appreciate the good without the bad, and you can't learn to live with the bad without the good. Equanimity, because the overall goal that you should leave Vipassana with is balance, and not reacting to everything, and finding this equilibrium about life. When something good happens, that yes, enjoy it, but also don't get attached to it. And when something bad happens, don't create aversion, and don't allow yourself to hold hate. And awareness, because it's really easy to get lost when you're not aware of yourself. And the easiest way to remain aware is through your breath, because that's what's real. This moment where you're breathing and where you can actually be present. And the thing you'll learn that's so interesting about the mind is that it never wants to be present. If you actually pay a little bit attention to your thoughts, you'll realize that they're always in the past or in the future. What you need to do, what your goals are, what your plans are, or what happened to you a year ago, or what someone said to you, or how someone did you wrong. You notice this pattern in your thoughts. And once you decide to be present or work on being present, because it does take work, you realize that the best way to stay aware is through monitoring your breath. I hope everyone in this life gets to experience the love of Vipassana, because I definitely feel like it is a technique that is based on love. No matter what religion you are, no matter what you practice, no matter where you come from, no matter what race, what your culture is, I definitely think Vipassana is something that all humans should get the chance to experience, because it's just the law of nature. Be happy and free and